In 2016, events that shook the entire country took place in the city of Freiburg, Germany. It was the tragic story of 19-year-old student Maria Ladenburger, which not only raised questions about the effectiveness of law enforcement but also cast doubt on the government's actions as a whole. Maria was born on December 6, 1996, to parents Clemens and Friederike Ladenburger. Until the fateful year of 2016, she was studying at the medical faculty of the University of Freiburg and working at one of the city's centers outside of her studies. On the night of October 15 to 16, 2016, Maria attended a party organized by her faculty. After having a good time with acquaintances, she decided to go to the dormitory where she lived, 5 kilometers from the university, around 2:30 a.m. At 2:37, after saying goodbye to her friends, Maria left the party and headed home on her bicycle. However, at 8:20 a.m., a passerby jogging along the Dreisam River near the Schwarzwald Stadium noticed a woman's body in the water. The depth of the Dreisam at that spot was only 30 centimeters. The victim was identified as 19-year-old Maria Ladenburger. The girl never made it to her dormitory. Her body was found 1.5 kilometers away from it. The forensic medical examination established that the cause of Maria's death was drowning, and the perpetrator had tried to strangle her with a scarf, which was later seized at the crime scene. A male DNA sample was found on the scarf, most likely belonging to the killer. Experts also determined the probable motive for the attack: the girl was death. To investigate this case, the police created a special commission of 68 investigators. In addition to the DNA on the scarf, several black hairs 18.5 centimeters long with bleached ends were found in the bushes near where the body was discovered. Notably, they were pulled out with the root, which allowed obtaining another male DNA sample. This sample matched the one on the scarf used to strangle Maria. However, it was not possible to establish the identity of the DNA owner since information about him was absent in police databases. On November 8, the police announced a reward of €6,000 for information that would help in the investigation. Thanks to several individuals, the amount soon increased to €35,000. During the investigation, law enforcement officers interviewed more than 1,400 people, including attendees of the party where Maria spent her last hours. At the same time, more than 100 people voluntarily submitted DNA samples for comparative analysis. These were mainly participants of the same party, but the analysis results did not reveal matches with the DNA left at the crime scene. Investigators carefully checked all possible leads, but the most crucial in the search for the criminal were the hair and scarf found where Maria's body was discovered. Having information that the wanted person had long dark hair with bleached ends, the police began to review footage from numerous surveillance cameras in the city. In the footage from a tram, they noticed a man with that hair color and length. His hairstyle was done in an undercut style, short cropped hair on the sides and back, and longer on the crown. The recording was made on the night of October 16 at 1:57 a.m., just 40 minutes before Maria left the party. The suspect boarded the tram near the university and got off 20 minutes later at the final stop, located less than a kilometer from where the girl's body was later found. According to police, while on the tram, the stranger harassed 2 girls, but they managed to get rid of the intrusive attention of their fellow passenger. Nearly 7 weeks after the body was found, on December 3, 2016, the police reported the arrest of a suspect. He turned out to be a 17-year-old migrant from Afghanistan named Hussein Khavari. But, as it would later become clear, he was not quite 17 years old and not quite from Afghanistan. Khavari entered Germany in November 2015 without identity documents. Upon entry, he stated that he arrived from Afghanistan and was born in 1999. The age issue is a separate story. At the border, Hussein claimed to be 16, although he had no documents to confirm or refute this. In Germany, given his stated age, he was granted asylum as an unaccompanied minor refugee, placed with a family, and provided with shelter and food. This trick of understating one's age is a common occurrence that provides advantages not only when requesting asylum but also in case of problems with the law, as the attitude towards minors is more lenient. We will return to the issue of the suspect's age later, but for now, there are more interesting details in his biography. After his arrest, it was revealed that Khavari's fingerprints had been entered into the Pan-European database back in 2013 in Greece, where he had applied for asylum. In Greece, he managed to make a mark shortly after his arrival. In the summer of 2013, on the island of Corfu, he attacked a 20-year-old student, took her purse, then picked up the girl and threw her off a cliff. She fell from a height of about 10 meters and miraculously survived thanks to bushes and sand below. The victim spent 17 days in the hospital, underwent 3 surgeries, and identified Khavari as her attacker. He himself did not understand why he was being detained and, when talking to the police about the victim, noted that she was just a woman. In February 2014, a Greek court found Khavari guilty of attempted murder and sentenced him to 10 years in prison. It is noteworthy that in court he claimed to have come from Iran and was born in 1996. Recall, upon entering Germany, Khavari stated the year of birth as 1999. So the logical question arises of how he was able to get to Germany in 2015 if a year earlier he was sentenced in Greece to 10 years in prison. The fact is that after a year and a half, Khavari fell under an amnesty and was released. He was obliged to report to the police regularly, but he showed up at the station only once. At that time, the borders were open, so Khavari, along with hundreds of thousands of other refugees, headed to Germany, where he corrected his age, passing himself off as a minor. When all this information surfaced, the German side began demanding answers from the Greek authorities, particularly the police, who did not put Khavari on the international wanted list through Interpol, which made his unhindered entry into Germany possible. While law enforcement officers of both countries tried to settle the situation among themselves, ordinary Germans, especially the residents of Freiburg, demanded that the state leadership take at least some measures regarding uncontrolled migration. In response to the dissatisfaction of the townspeople, Freiburg Mayor Dieter Solomon reacted with a statement that Khavari's origin should not become a reason for sweeping accusations. Instead, the anti-migrant party Alternative for Germany called Maria Ladenburger a victim of Angela Merkel's culture of hospitality. Unfortunately, Maria's case is not an isolated one. On December 27, 2017, in Kandel, 15-year-old Afghan refugee Abdul Dawodzai attacked his classmate, 15-year-old Mia Valentine, with a knife in broad daylight. The reason was that the girl had stopped communicating with him. Mia died in the hospital, and Dawodzai was arrested. The deceased girl's parents doubted his age and insisted on an expert examination. Using X-rays of the wrist, collarbone, and teeth, the expert established that Dawodzai was at least 17.5, if not all 20 years old. However, since the expert did not rule out the possibility of the suspect being a minor, the court considered his case according to the rules for minors, so the maximum prison term was 10 years. But the verdict of September 3, 2018, was even milder, 8.5 years in prison, which outraged not only the girl's loved ones but also the entire public. It is important to note that a year after his conviction, Dawodzai committed suicide in his prison cell. Another tragic case occurred on March 12, 2018, in Flensburg. 17-year-old Mireille was attacked in her own apartment by Ahmad Isa, an underage Afghan refugee who arrived in Germany unaccompanied by adults. Mireille and Ahmad had been dating for 2 years, but when the young man began to control literally every step of the girl, she decided to break up with him and started a new relationship. Ahmad inflicted 14 stab wounds on Mireille, from which she died. In court, he insisted that at the time of the crime he was only 17, so the trial should be conducted according to the rules for minors with a maximum punishment of 10 years in prison. However, an expert examination showed that Ahmad was actually about 29 years old. Taking this data into account, the court sentenced him as an adult to life imprisonment with the right to parole after 15 years under certain circumstances provided for by German law. Mireille became another victim of Merkel's so-called welcome culture. But let's return to the case of Maria Ladenburger. In addition to the DNA evidence linking Hussein Khavari to the crime, his own confession also pointed to his involvement. During the trial, which began in September 2017, Khavari admitted not only that he had non-consensual sexual intercourse with Maria and took the girl's life but also that he had lied about his age. Despite his reluctance to give an exact date of birth, he confirmed that he was an adult at the time of the crime. The court dentist, having analyzed the defendant's dentition, concluded that he was approximately 25 years old. But the final clarity to this issue was brought by a telephone conversation with Khavari's father, who not only clarified his son's age but also named his true homeland, Iran, not Afghanistan. According to the father, Hussein's birth certificate states the date of January 29, 1984. That is, when Maria was murdered, he was 32. Therefore, the charges were considered according to adult rules. At the trial, Khavari said that a few hours before the attack, he had consumed a considerable amount of alcohol and prohibited substances with friends. After parting with his companions, he got on a tram and went in the direction of the area where he later attacked Maria. In her free time from studying, the girl worked as a volunteer at the Migrant Assistance Center. But by a twist of fate, she died at the hands of a migrant. On September 22, 2018, the court found Hussein Khavari guilty and sentenced him to life imprisonment. As already mentioned, according to German law, a life sentence means the right to parole after 15 years, provided that a special commission concludes that the convict poses no danger to society. But in the case of Hussein Khavari, when choosing the measure of punishment, the particular severity of his guilt was noted. And this means that, although hypothetically his release after 15 years is legally possible, it is unlikely in practice. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Until next time, friends.